and welcome to Coding for Kids. In this video, we are going to be learning how to make tables in HTML. So without further ado, let's get started. So first, let's look at the overview of this video. Today we are going to be learning about HTML tables. We are going to be learning about the row span and col span attribute. Now we're going to be learning about the border attribute for HTML tables. We're also going to be looking at the caption tag and the width attribute. And finally, we are going to be ending with some coding. So let's get started. So what is a HTML table? So a HTML table allows you to arrange data into rows and columns. In a HTML table, we use the table tag, and we also use the tr tag, the dt tag, td tag, and finally we use the th tag with the table tag. So in a HTML table, we define a HTML table using the table tag. A table header, which is food, calorie count, quantity, and cost in this table. You can see those top everything in the top row, or the bolded text, that is all the table headers. And the table data is like hamburger, pizza, chicken nuggets, that stuff. So that is the table data. Everything inside of the these rows, I guess. And then a table row, so a whole entire row. For example, hamburger, 550 calories, one hamburger, and $10. This whole thing is one row. So to define a row, we use the tr tag. So now that we have that aside, let's look at the row span and col span attribute. So if you want to make a cell, which is basically like a box in a table, I guess, more than one column, you can use the attribute called the col span attribute. For example, you can see right here that this one row, or this one, I guess you could say, cell or box is expanding over two columns, as you can see right here. So if you want a cell or a box to expand over more columns, you just use the col span attribute. And if you want a cell or box to span or extend over one or more, or two or more rows, you use the row span attribute. So you can see right here that this one cell or box expands over two rows. So that is the col span and row span attribute. You can see right here we have an actual table example for both of them. So you can see this heading or header, table header, expands over two columns. And you can see right here that this one row, or this one, I guess you could say, cell, expands over two rows. So that is the row span and col span attribute. So now let's look at the border attribute. So the border attribute adds a border to your HTML table. You can see right here we have like a drinks, I guess, table, and you can see we have a little border. So I would say the border attribute is very just visually appealing, so adding a border is definitely a good choice to your HTML table. Then we have the caption tag. So the caption tags allow you to add a caption into your website or web page. It is most frequently used with the table tag. I mostly see it with the table tag personally, and the caption tag is written like this. So you just write caption inside of the angular brackets, and then inside you write your caption. For example, I just wrote this as a caption. So now let's look at the width attribute. So the width attribute changes the width of an element. The width attribute can be written like this. So you can see we have a little table tag, and inside our attribute, this is how we say it. We'll say style equal to, and then in quotation marks we'll write width colon mark 100%. So that just means that your table would take up 100% of your screen. If you wanted to take up half of your screen, you'll write 50%. If you wanted to take like 3/4 of your screen, you write 75%, 1/4, 25%. Just however much you want the table to take up, write that percentage down. So you can see that is the width attribute. So now let's do some coding. So I've already coded the table because the table will take some time. It took me around 15 minutes, so I don't want you guys standing here for 15 minutes while I code it. So I already coded it, but it's gonna show you guys what the code actually looks like, because it's one thing to actually understand it, but you need to know how it looks like in code. So yeah, so I'm gonna show you guys what I did. So you guys can see I'm in code.org, logged in. So now I'll show you guys this table. So first you can see we have a table tag, and inside we have our table. So first inside the table we have a caption, and it says span right here. Inside the table also you can see we have our style equal to width, then 100%, and our border you can see is equal to, in quotation marks, we have 2. So this is just how thick it'll be. So for example, if I put 5, you can see for the span it's very thick, and I don't want it that thick. That's why I put 2, because I think that's a pretty decent size. And then we have our table header. So here, instead of having 2 table headers, I have one that's stretching over 2 columns. So monthly savings, it's stretching over the 2 columns. And here, this is how many columns it'll stretch over. So if you wanted to stretch over 1, let's say, then if I just refresh and save, it'll only go over 1 column. It won't go over the second one, but we wanted to go over both, so we're just gonna put 2. Then you can see right here we have our first table row, and for our first table row we have January and $100. So in the same table row we'll put 2 different values, I guess. So January and $100. For our second table row, you can see we did the same, well, not the same thing, but kind of the same. So we put February and $150. And then for our last row, we have March and $100. So you can see you first do your table row, and then inside of your table row, you're going to add the data. So that is how you kind of work your way through a table. So now let's look at the row span. So you can see right here we have our table. This is our table. So let me just do, okay, so this is our table. So you can see right here, we first have our caption that says row span. Then we have our first row. So in our first row we have all the headers, table headers. So we have our first header as month. Then we have savings as our second header, and as our last header we have savings for holidays. So that is all the headers, and all of the headers go in one row. In our second row, you can see that we have the January as our month, $100 as our savings, and then as our savings for the holidays, we used a row span inside, and we put 3. So this one row is gonna stretch. This one, I guess you could say, data is gonna stretch over all 3 rows. So 50 is the same value for all 3 rows. So that's why we put it here as 50. And then that is our first row. Our second row has February and $50. So we don't need to mention this again since we already did. So we're just going to have February and then $150. And then finally, for our last row, we have March and $100. And that's the end of our table. So I hope you guys understand how to make a table by this and how to use the row span and span attributes. But yeah, so now I'm going to get back to my slides and finish off the video. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to the next slide in our little presentation. Let's see. Okay, so let's just review really quickly. So we learned what a HTML table is. Then we learned about the row span and col span attributes. We also looked at the border attribute for HTML tables. We looked at the caption tag, the width attribute, and finally we did some coding to end the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share this video with all your friends. So you guys can all learn web development. So I hope you guys are enjoying web development so far. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be back next time. Bye!